Hey everybody, welcome back to Mind Body Tutor. My name is Justin, and welcome to our second guitar video. So today we're going to be going over strumming and chords, two very essential things to get a good sound and create a good song. So first we're going to go over strumming. There are thousands and thousands of ways to strum, but we'll just start with the basics first. So in a measure there are 4 beats, and you strum according to those beats. So if you have this tempo, which is the pattern and the speed of those beats, like 1, 2, 3, 4, then you could strum that. I'm grabbing my pick here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're on beat. It's easy to sing to or dance to because every beat is expected and it's not going to change throughout the song. So if we just mute our strings here and just put our fingers there, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's a measure or a bar. So, and there's 4 of them, so that's why we're doing 4 strums. So one, what they call like one step or a quarter beat in a measure. So just 1, 2, 3, 4. So you could strum that to a song. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that sounds pretty good. Again, very, very basic, but enough to get you to play in a song that you might enjoy. So next, we're gonna do a slightly more complicated strum beat, and all we're gonna do is down, down, up, and then kind of slap our strings so that we kind of get that muted sound. So we're gonna like strum and slap at the same time, and slapping just means you're putting your wrist against the strings to create like a complete buzz sound, and really just no sound at all. So like down, down, up, slap, down, down, up, slap, down, down, up, slap. And remember to be keeping your tune and your tempo while strumming, because if you do 1, da, da, see, you can't really do anything to that. So you want to make sure it's super methodical and just super on pace and on beat. So down, down, up, slap, down, down, up, slap, down, down, up, slap, and so on. So how it would sound with like a chord is and again, don't worry about the chords right now. We'll go over them in a minute. But super basic right now, just keeping your count and keeping your beat, and just making sure it's super methodical, super even. You don't want like a super long strum and then a super short strum to counter that, because that doesn't sound good either. So just super even strokes and even strums, and you'll be good to go. And we'll definitely be going over more strum patterns as we go along, but just to get started, I would just practice either just the 4 downs, 1, 2, 3, 4, or the down, down, up, slap, down, down, up, slap. So 2 very simple but effective strum patterns, and we will get more complicated as we go along, I promise you that. So we're gonna focus most of our time today on chords. Excuse me. And in these chords, so we have tons and tons of chords, because you get into like, so you have your major chords, so A major, B major, G major. Then you have your minor chords, so like A minor, G minor. And then you also have like sustained chords, which we won't worry about too much right now, unless that's in a song that we're going to learn together. there's like A sus B4 flat. Like, I don't even know if that's a chord, but it sounds like one because some of them are just so random. But we're just gonna stick with some basic major chords today, and we're gonna focus on C major, G major, and D major, because with those three chords, you can create hundreds and hundreds of songs, and hundreds of songs have actually been created using just those three chords. So first, we're gonna start with a D chord. It keeps your fingers really close together, and it's all you really have to focus on is pressure. So this is what a D chord looks like, and this is what it sounds like. And if you look here for a second when I strum that, I'm only strumming the bottom 4 strings. And that's really important because you hear that sound, or if you strum all 6, you hear this A and E and A string that you really don't want in your sound. So we're going to go back to here. Now, first, these top 3 strings are going to be open. So all that means is that we're not going to put any fingers on them at all. So we're not going to touch them. You want to make sure your fingernails are clipped so you don't accidentally have like an overhang almost, and it touches another string, so it kind of buzzes that sound out like that. So short fingernails is best. But anyways, on our G string, which is our E, A, D, G, if you remember from the last video, our elephants and dogs grow big ears, this 4th string here is our G string, and we're going to put our index finger, so this would be considered finger 1, we're going to put that on the 2nd fret, and we went over frets in the other video too. So remember, as close to this silver fret as possible, and pressing as hard as we can without touching any other strings. So that's the first note. The second note is going to be with our middle finger, and that is going to go on the high E string, and we're going to put it on the 2nd fret as well. So your first finger and your first and second finger both on the 2nd fret on the G and high E strings. Then with our ring finger, we're going to put that on the 3rd fret of the B string. So that's 5 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here on this first silver string. That's where we're going to put our ring finger on the 3rd fret. So just to go over it one more time, first finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the high E string, and our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. So this is your shape here, and eventually you'll get to know these chords really well, and this kind of looks like a D to me at an angle, so that's kind of how I remember it. If you have like a little line there, you get a little rounded D. And then you're just going to strum the bottom 4 strings. Alright, so that, in my opinion, that's the toughest part, is when you're strumming, you just hit those bottom 4 strings. But you're going to get used to that as you practice and practice. So that's not too much to worry about right now. It's going to be really tough. And if you occasionally hit all 4 strings in your strumming, you can hear it, but it's not a huge deal where it's going to throw off your whole song. But really focus on those bottom 4 strings, and then we're going to use our 2 strum patterns to kind of play that a couple times. So first we're going to get our D chord, and then we're going to strum the bottom 4 strings 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I just put my palm over the strings to mute them, so you couldn't hear it anymore. So one more time, or actually we'll do it a couple more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. See how it's super methodical, on tempo, on beat, and it sounds pretty good, and it's a really nice chord actually. So, and very important one at that as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then muted. And then just so you guys can put it in perspective, one of my favorite songs to play is More Than a Feeling by Boston. And it's really centered around the D chord in that intro, where it's kind of like... And anyways, but you can really see how all of that picking is centered around this D chord. So just something for you guys to think about, put it in perspective, and kind of get excited about learning the guitar. So that was our D chord. Now we're going to move on to the C chord. With the C chord, it's a little tougher. Your fingers are a little bit more spread out. It's a bit more of an awkward angle. But if you really practice, it's a really good chord to know, and it's used in a lot of songs. So the C looks like this. It sounds like that, and you're only playing the bottom 5 strings. And then just so you guys can hear it with the low E string, it doesn't really fit in as well. And that's actually a whole nother chord. I believe it's called like a C/E. But not to focus on that, we're just going to focus on those bottom 5 strings and how to play it. So our first finger here is going to go on the first fret of the B string. So that's the 5th one down. The first silver string is going to be the B string. So first fret there. Alright? So it sounds like this. Alright? And then the next, with our middle finger, or the second finger, is going to be on the 2nd fret of the D string. So we're going to skip this G string. We're not going to put any fingers on that and touch it at all. But we're going to put it on the next string up on the D string. So it sounds like this. Alright, and then lastly, on the 3rd fret of the A string, we're going to put our 3rd finger, this ring finger here. And that's how this sounds. Alright, so first we're going to do it each string one at a time, so you can kind of hear how each individual string sounds, and then we're going to play it all together. So, see, my finger was kind of hanging over a little bit and it started to buzz. So I was accidentally touching this G string, which we don't want to happen. So let's start again. So that's what that chord sounds like when it's all separated, but when it goes together, it sounds like this. Alright? And then again, like I accidentally did when we were going individually, and you kind of get a buzz. See, that G string is buzzed. If that's happening to you, don't worry. All it means is that when you're forming your chord and when you're putting your fingers on the fretboard, one of your fingers is accidentally touching another string. So if you touch a string and you don't put pressure on it, it's going to come out really buzzed no matter where it is on the fretboard. So you really want to focus on that pressure, and again, it's going to sound better if you get it as close to the frets as possible. Sometimes that's not possible just because it's such a wonky chord and your fingers are already so far spread apart that it's really not convenient or really even possible to get as close to the silver frets as possible. But just to keep in mind, again, just to reiterate, pressure and proximity to the silver bars, frets, are going to create your best sound. So now that we know how to play the G chord, we're going to do our 4 count, and then we'll actually go back to the D chord just to do our other strum pattern as well. So, but first we're going to do 4 down strums. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so now we're going to go back to our D chord. So if you guys feel like I'm going too fast, please pause, please rewind. Take as long as you can, because I really want you guys to be able to understand this, because if you can learn these chords, we can play a ton of songs, and we might actually learn one in the very near future using these 3 chords. So back to the D. Sorry for backtracking, but back to our D, which just one more time is going to be 2nd fret G string with our 1st finger, 2nd fret high E string with our 2nd finger, and then 3rd fret B string with our 3rd finger. And then we're going to play the bottom 4 strings. So with that, we did the 4 down strums, but now we're going to do the down, down, up, slap. And we're really going to slow it down just so you can really focus on hitting those 4 strings. So do it with me. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Alright? So hopefully you guys find the D chord to be a little bit easier than the C chord, but if you find both really easy, that's awesome, and if you find both really hard, that's totally fine. These are learning to play the guitar is super complicated. It takes a ton of practice. I've been playing since like 3rd grade, and I'm in 10th grade right now, so that's like 7 or 8 years that I've been playing guitar. So now we got the D chord down. We'll do that one more time while we're here. So down, down, up, slap. A little faster this time. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Alright, so we got the D. We're going to put that to the side for a minute, and we're going to go to the C chord again. So we just went over the C chord. Again, that was 1st fret B string with our 1st finger, 2nd fret D string with our 3rd finger or 2nd finger, and then 3rd fret A string with our 3rd finger. So it sounds like this. And then we did the 4 down strums without hitting that low E string. And then next we're gonna go to the down, down, up, slap. Alright, so do it with me. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Alright, so those are C and D chords. And both super basic chords, some of the easier chords you can learn to play on the guitar. And our last chord that we're going to learn today is called the G chord. And the G chord is a super happy, upbeat chord. I'll just play it for you really quick. And it, see, like even naturally, I just go to that down, down, up, slap. Just because it's so easy and so useful. But anyways, super happy. It is in so many songs, like I can't even explain to you how many songs are out there with the G chord. So very important chord. It's a tough one for sure, just because your fingers are super spread out, and you have to really press hard at that super awkward angle. But we're gonna check it out just because it's super useful, and I think you guys will get it pretty quick. And if you don't, again, totally fine. Please just practice, and I promise you, if you keep at it, you will get it, and you will become an amazing guitar player. So there are actually 2 ways to play this chord just with finger placement, and the easier way and the more common way is going to be with these first 3 fingers here. So on our 1st finger, we're going to go to the 2nd fret of the A string. So down 2, over 2. So that's that sound there. Then on the 3rd fret of the low E string, we're going to put our 2nd finger there. So you have this kind of shape here. It's kind of weird to show you without the guitar. but just right here, and that's actually most of our chord. So we're gonna do one last stretch. It's gonna be super, super awkward, but you're gonna try to get that ring finger or pinky, you can do either one, on that 3rd fret of the high E string. So just to go, I'll just use my ring finger just because it's a little bit easier for me, and I got used to that awkward angle. So again, on the 2nd fret, you have your A string with your index finger, and then on the 3rd fret, you have your low E with your middle finger, and the high E on the 3rd fret with your ring finger. So all together, that's how that G chord sounds. So, and you can kind of play that to whatever you want. You could really make a song out of just the G chord. Like, I'm pretty sure there's some national anthems that are like, or not national anthems, but there's some songs that are like just the G chord. Like songs that I learned in like 4th grade about like the redwoods, and you have that like little dance thing. But anyways, enough with that. We have our G chord. I can feel it like through the screen that for most of you this is like a really tough chord. This is probably like a 6 or 7 on a scale of 1 to 10 on difficulty. But once you get it, and once you can really focus on the pressure, on your finger placement, and just we're gonna go over your thumb placement in a minute because it's super, super important. But once you get it, it's gonna literally be like a 1 or 2 on the scale of 1 to 10 on hard chords. Like, there are some chords that like I still can't play just because of how weird they are. And I've been playing for 8 years. So don't stress if you can't get this chord right now. It's super tough, but you will get it if you keep practicing. I promise you that. So we're gonna go over strum patterns, and then I have one more thing for you guys today. So we have our G. We're just gonna go 4 down like we did with the C and the D. So do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So now, I know you guys are getting there. It's a journey for sure. Keep pushing. Like, if you dedicate your time to learning the guitar, you're going to be such a phenomenal guitar player. It's going to be insane, and you're going to be the hell at all the parties and all the campfires. So, G chord, really important. We did the 4 strums down. Now we're going to do the down, down, up, slap. All right, on the 4 count. So remember to keep that tempo. That's super important. So we have our G chord. We're going to go down, down, up, slap. All right, so do it with me. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. So that was a little faster, so really quick, we're just going to slow it way down. So, all right, so we have down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Down, down, up, slap. Alright, so again, I'm sure you guys are hearing a little bit of buzz. Don't worry. Even the buzz takes time, because when you're learning, you're gonna get a lot of buzz, but just practice in your room. Don't worry, nobody's judging you, because they're just so stoked that you're learning how to play the guitar. So just push through. Stay dedicated, and congratulations, you guys just learned 3 chords that creates thousands of songs. Probably, arguably, 3 of the most common guitar chords ever. So, really quick, if you guys are having trouble with your pressure, don't worry, because your thumb is really going to come into contact. This whole part of your hand is going to be very useful in keeping that pressure. So really, when you get this top view, if we get the 3 chords we just did, you can see my thumb is locked on to the back of the neck of the guitar. But it changes when I go to a C chord. We have a C chord here. Now I'm using more of the palm meaty part of my hand right there, and that's going to apply a lot of pressure. Give a really good backing to a strong chord. And then even it changes on the D, where it's more perpendicular to, or not perpendicular, like parallel to these frets and perpendicular to the neck. So really important. It's gonna be awkward, so just the best advice I could give you is definitely utilize that thumb. It's super tough to explain how, because it's different for everybody. Me, I kind of have like a little bit bigger hands, not super long, but kind of like meaty, kind of fat hands. So it's just different for me than someone with super short and skinny fingers. So you just kind of learn what's best for you. But if I don't use my thumb at all and I try to play those chords, so I'll have my thumb up here. It's not bad, but I'm really pressing against my body. You can't really tell, but I'm really pressing against my body to get that pressure. But if I put no pressure on the guitar at all, they're all buzzed. On this one, and even the G chord. So really you can only hear the open notes. So palm or your thumb, super important. Do not forget about that. Your chords will sound way better, and that's really going to help with applying your pressure on the front side of the guitar. Is giving a good bass for the back side of the guitar. And last thing, a little bonus for you guys. Earlier I said there were 2 ways to play the G chord. Actually, that was sort of a fib, because there are probably at least 10 different ways to play the G chord once you introduce bar chords. But we're not gonna even talk about those anymore until we get to that in the lesson, just because they're super tough. But it's really gonna open up your guitar once we get there. So as far as finger placement goes, our G chord was this one, remember? The other way to play it is this way. And this is a lot tougher for a lot of people, just because they're really not used to stretching that ring finger and pinky, and really any of the other chords. But if you can get it, your chord transitions, which we'll talk about in the next video, are really gonna come in handy if you can learn this way to play the G. So we'll go over that right now really quick. And first, just to lay it out there, it's the same frets and the same strings, but we're just changing which fingers we're using. So instead of looking like this, we're like this. And really quick, just to go over it, our middle finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the A string. Right there. Our 3rd finger, which we used in the D and C chords, are going to go on the low E string there. 3rd fret of the low E. And then our pinky, which we haven't used yet, so it's going to feel uber awkward, especially because you can't get a ton of pressure there without your thumb on the back. So high E on the 3rd fret. So it sounds the same individually and even together. Like if you close your eyes, you wouldn't be able to tell which version I was playing. And they're almost not even different versions, they're just different finger placement. But there are definitely times where it comes in handy to use both. Obviously you don't need to learn this way, just because This way's easier for a lot of people, if you're feeling good, you're feeling strong, and you got all the other chords super good, I would really recommend trying to learn this way of how to play the G. It's really gonna increase your guitar playing skills. It's gonna make chord transitions way easier, and I think you will really benefit from that. So now that we learned the 2 ways to play the G chord, we learned how to play the C chord and the D chord, as well as strumming and the importance of your thumb when you're playing the guitar. I think you guys have done an excellent job. I'm so happy for you, and I think you guys should be super pleased with yourself, because it's not easy learning guitar. I've struggled for so long. I've taken guitar lessons. I've learned from YouTube. I've learned on Guitar Tab, which is just a guitar app. I have learned all these different ways, and I'm just so stoked for you guys. I'm so happy you're on your journey to your best life, and let's keep it going. Yeah, just don't forget to subscribe in the link below for weekly updates on guitar, and we'll start this journey together. And I'm really happy to have you along. Please comment in the section below if you guys want to learn any songs, chords, pentatonic scales. If you want to learn anything, please let me know. We'll keep on this course that we're going on, but if you're feeling a little advanced for this, let me know. I'll be happy to post a video for you guys. If you guys are still having a little trouble, please let me know. I'll go over some of this and try to be a little bit more clear. I'm so thankful that you guys are here with me today. I hope you keep living your best life, and have a great day.